This is Courtney.
And this is Kelsie.
And we're Pen Pals.
Hey guys! So we're back for episode 4. Woo! Already 4 episodes. Wow. Look at us go.
Know. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah. Going through the new year strong. So for this episode, we wanted to talk to you guys about how we first got into the entertainment industry, what it was like working in the entertainment industry. Well, we still are and stuff, but also kind of like advice that we would have given ourselves when we were like interning and first starting in our career, and stuff we just would have known. And also just a little bit of insight of kind of how it was and some funny stories we wanted to share with you all.
Yeah, and I think more of like what our lives look like. I remember when I was interning, one of my first internships was at like a major film studio, and I had people, because I grew up in the Midwest and no one really understood what I did, and they're like, oh my gosh, are you gonna meet like Brad Pitt? Is your name gonna be in the credits? Are you gonna do this? And like, so just some backstory, I guess, and just looking back, things we knew, because I feel like there's such like a, I don't know if veil is the right word on this business, like there's like an allure to it, and I don't think a lot of people understand what happens like behind the scenes. So that is what our focus is on today.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I feel like people are like, oh, so like glamorous, like fun time all the time. And it's like, well, especially when you're first starting.
No.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. And I think people also know it's hard work, but especially when you're starting, it's like a ton of like running around, getting coffee, like getting food for people. Did that a lot. Just like all that kind of stuff. So I figured we'd start by like, I have some funny stories from like the internships I had a while back. So basically, as Kelsey said, she's from the Midwest. I'm from New Jersey, and I had my internships and actually like all of my career until I moved to Nashville last year. Has been like based out in New York and stuff. So I was living in New Jersey, and then I worked for a couple different television companies in New York. So yeah, I first started at a television company interning there, and it was a really fun experience. It was like a ton of work, a ton of running around and stuff, but it really taught me a lot. And this internship, it was kind of like TV ad kind of focused, and what they had the internships do, there was like a big group of interns for this one, which is the only internship where I've had like 5 other interns with me at the same time. But basically like we had like a major role in this little small department, and the biggest thing that we did was find props for like all these like crazy ad ideas they came up with
And track them down. Track down the impossible.
Literally. And so we were just like, I remember like they would give us like a subway card, and they'd be like, here, like run and go get it. I was like, okay. And so we just like run all around like New York City and try to find like the strangest things. And I was trying to think, I was like, what is like one of the strangest ones? And I think the strangest one was a catfish, a giant catfish. And it didn't need to be live, fortunately, but it needed to be like fresh and whole. Yes. It needed to be as fresh as possible, and like a whole one, like not cut up at all. And like we're in like New York City, like we're not fishing for one, obviously. So
like out, go find it. No.
Yeah, go to the Hudson River. No, but so me and the other interns were like, okay, where the hell do we find this? And then fortunately, we came up with going to Chinatown. So we went to Chinatown, found this like restaurant that like was willing to like just give us like a huge whole catfish. And so they put it in like a giant bag, in a giant brown bag, and we had to go on the subway with it all the way back, like a 20 or so minute ride, and yeah, go all the way back to the office and bring it in there. And that was so gross. And I will always remember that one. And then it was so funny because like only like the people that know me really well know this, or maybe not even everyone. But like I have this weird fear of like touching fish. I don't know why. I just have this really weird
And
fear of
they
it.
sent you to go do that?
Yeah.
Oh.
And fortunately I didn't have to touch it then, and like the other intern carried it and stuff. But like I have this really weird fear of touching fish. I don't know, it just grosses me out so bad, like with how like slimy and stuff like it must be. And so I don't know. I don't swim in like lakes or oceans or anything. And
I'm just imagining you walking down the streets of New York City just like with this fish. I don't know why that's so funny to me.
yeah, it was so gross. And then, but the thing was, that wasn't over yet because they wanted to like, this one was kind of just like a fun kind of like idea one of like the producers came up with. And so sometimes when it's like a little idea they want to try out, they were able to like shoot it in like a room that was like in the office and like shoot it kind of themselves and stuff. And so they wanted, I don't even remember the concept of this commercial, but they wanted someone with like small looking childlike hands to hold the catfish. And so they went to all the interns, they were like, show me your hand. They were like, you have this smallest hand.
Oh my
I was like,
God.
oh. I was like, okay. And then
Okay,
I
the
was
craziest part though for this
yeah.
is like these stories like aren't surprising for like anyone who does this for a living. This is like, okay, this is what happens. But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, exactly. It's a lot of like do it yourself, like the producers will like film it themselves, and a lot of like go find it. I know it's impossible, but go find it, go make it happen. And so yeah, anyways, long story short, my fear got the best of me. I was like, listen, I was like really stressing out because like I wasn't sure if I could say no or not, but I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And then fortunately the producer's like, oh, you know what, no problem. Actually, I could bring my daughter in and she has like actual small child hands, so that would work better. I was like, thank God.
Oh my gosh. That is like the best story. I don't think I have anything that tops that.
This
My
was a pretty
first
crazy internship. Yeah.
so you start like you were interning working like on the East Coast. My start was like in LA, and I was working more in like the start of my career was more focused in like developing stories, working with writers, scripts, that type of thing for movies and TV. And you get like all these little tasks to do and stuff. And one day I was asked to take, I don't even remember what it was, maybe like a stack of paper, an envelope or something, and carry it to like a specific room across this movie lot and drop it off. And I was like, okay, I got it, And I got there and like I'm new, like, I don't know what's going on. I like walk into this lady's office. I'm like, are you blah, blah, blah? And she's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, oh, I'm just dropping this off. How's your day going? Like talking to this lady. And I come back to the office and someone I work with is like, wait, who did you go take that to? And I told him, and he's like, oh my gosh, did you like see her? Did you like get to talk to her? Like, and I'm like, yeah. And like, oh my gosh, seriously? Like, did she like come out and talk to you? And I was like, no, I just like walked into her office. And they're like, you can't do that. She's like a major producer. You should have just like walked into her office. But she's like the nicest lady. Like, I'm just like, la, 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 la. But just like waltz right in. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That story always stuck with me because like, I mean, I don't know, like as interns, I heard another story of, I don't even remember, someone, because I worked on a movie lot. One of the interns was like walking around on the lot. They have like back lots. So a back lot on a movie lot is like fake buildings. It looks like a fake little city. Like if you've been to Universal Studios and like toured it, that's what it looks like. But it's like a facade. Like these buildings, there's no back to them. Like you just open the door and it's just, but it looks so real. Like their job is to like stick pieces of gum on the sidewalk of the cement to make it look like a real, and like rust things. Like that's literally their job. But anyway, so we were eating lunch and one of the interns was like, let's walk through the back lot to like go back to the office. And so a few of them, I don't think I was there, a few of them were walking through and they're like, I don't know, I want to see what these buildings are. And they like opened a door and they were doing a live shoot in the room, and they had to stop because an intern was standing in the doorway, like shut the door. Like, I remember hearing that story, and like, because like we're just like so in awe, I think, at the beginning of our careers too, like what's this, and I think that's important to be at the start of your career in something that like I was aware of, but I wish like I'd taken like even more advantage of, was like ask questions, do everything you can, like, because that's what you're there for, is to learn. So, and those are like huge stepping stones for your career too. Like, I got my first job from an internship I did. I got that internship information just from like a flyer. I was like in the right place at the right time. Like, it's just like very strange. So, and those internships too, like networking is a huge deal, and just like knowing more people and figuring out where those jobs are is important as well. So
yeah, internships can be like, when you're in it, it can seem like a lot of small tasks, a lot of like little things, but it's so important. And like the biggest thing is just being there and stuff. And also, like you were saying, I feel like, you know, when I was like an intern, I was so afraid to ask questions or sound like stupid and stuff. But it's like, ask those questions, like ask any question you have. I mean, kind of have an awareness of like, okay, I'm like annoying this person now, or like they're really busy. Like, hang on a step. Yeah, so definitely like ask any of the questions like you have, because now almost like I'm kind of like, I guess, mid-level-ish in my career, and like I'm working with like people that are interns, and like sometimes like I've kind of had a sense like, you know, I've explained a task, but like maybe they, you know, haven't done this before and stuff. I'm like, maybe they haven't done this before, maybe I should explain a little more. Like, it's always like best to just like ask instead of just like sitting there so anxious and like not knowing what you're doing at all.
because you're not supposed to. I mean, like, it's an internship. You're not like qualified to do this job. So like you might as well ask, because you're not supposed to know. And I think people get so accustomed to their jobs and using like certain language or a certain lingo that like is unfamiliar to you. Like, because there's a difference between learning about it in school or reading about it online and actually being there sometimes, you know. And so you just have to like throw yourself into it, I guess. And I mean, that's what you're there for, just to learn. They don't expect you to know everything. It's a learning experience.
Yeah, definitely not. And like definitely with asking, like, as you said, like, you got your job from an internship, so did I. Like, the best thing like you could do is take advantage of like being there with those people and ask them about themselves, how they got started, any advice that they would give to you. Ask them, hey, do you have a break to go and grab coffee and do
All
that?
the time.
Like,
I did that all the time.
yeah, definitely. Things might be a little different now, like interning in the year 2022 with people partially remote, but feel free to hop on a Zoom call with someone. Just really have that kind of like one-on-one like communication, and really kind of be genuine with the person and try to like get to know them. I think like people could also see through, it's like, I just want to make connections, and like you just like jump into like what jobs you have, like kind of like really get to know them. And like people like to talk about themselves, like ask them about themselves, how they got started, advice that they would give to you, and stuff like that. And I really just feel like I feel like someone I worked with told this to me, and it really stuck with me as well. It's like, you are like your own best advocate. Like, you could have like the best intern supervisor in the world, but still no one will advocate for you better than you can for yourself. And everybody else has like different jobs and stuff. Like, your intern supervisor probably has like a different role as well that they're doing. So it's like, if you're thinking like, while you're at the internship and everything, like, oh, I want to go on this shoe, I want to try to do this, like, go ahead and like go
ask.
ask for it and stuff. Like just ask for it and make it known. I mean, kind of like I said again, like read the room, like read like who you can ask and stuff. Like don't be like too over the top with it, but definitely like ask and make it known. Like you will not get anything like given to you unless you ask for it. I mean, sometimes they'll have some things set up for you that like are really great, and like other times like I've had like a couple different internships, like sometimes they'll have a bunch set up for you, and then like other times like it's really like the internship is whatever you make it as well. And so
Exactly. And just because you got this internship, it doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere. It really
yeah,
doesn't. Like, you have to prove yourself. I think the best advice that I heard, and I think wasn't super obvious to me at the time, was find somebody who's doing what you want to do and ask them how they got there, ask them for tips, ask them for advice. Like, pick every person in your brain's office, pick every person in your office's brain, even if there are people in other departments. Like, I got close with people in other departments at all my jobs, and like, because they know people who do other things.
yeah,
And maybe, I mean, you're interning too. I mean, at that point in my life, my career has taken like turns and twists and gone places that I didn't think it would. So even talking to people in other departments and figuring out what they do, and you're like, oh my gosh, this looks like so much fun. Maybe this is, like, that's what you're there for, to explore and learn and go kind of see like the inner workings and how everything comes together. And internships too, like we've been saying, you're not supposed to know everything. Like, what was
right.
it last year in the news? There was HBO had like emailed all their streaming service members HBO Max. Like, there were millions of people with like this random email, and an intern had accidentally said it, who
Oh my
sent
god,
it
really?
to everyone. And they like tweeted out later, like, I don't know exactly what they said, but it was so nice. It was like, our interns are here to learn. A mistake was made. Like, just disregard the email. It's no problem at all. Like, things happen. People make mistakes, and that's what you're there to do, is
Yeah,
learn. So that's what
ex-
they want you there for as well. Like, the other thing that I wish I knew too is they hired you for a reason. They know that like
yeah,
you're capable of doing this. They want you there. And when you're hired to do a job, you're hired to help them. Like, you have the skills. They hired you for your skill set to help them. They saw something in you. So
yeah.
have that confidence, because you were chosen for a reason.
Exactly. Yeah, and also like when you're there, don't be too hard on yourself or compare yourself too much to others. Like I remember when I was like had that internship where I was like in a big pool of interns, I was always like concerned of like what they were doing, what I was doing, blah blah. And I was also concerned with like, am I doing this task fast enough? Am I doing this the right way? Like just really kind of relax into your work, like do things in a timely manner, but don't rush everything, because I see now in a mid-level, like looking working with like other interns and stuff, like you don't want someone that just like finishes the work as sloppily and as fast as possible. Like don't do that. Like that's not the name of the game. Like you want to do things in a timely manner, keep people updated with your progress, be very communicative, but always do things to the best of your ability, and always be there, be available in the hours that you're supposed to be available. Maybe if you have the bandwidth, kind of suggest you could be there a little later, a little earlier if they need, kind of being reliable, being trustworthy, and being someone that they know will do the work to the best of their ability and will not just like slop it together and get it to them as fast as possible and then like ask for the next task as fast as possible. That's not what people want. So really just kind of like don't look at other people around you. Don't be like, ah, they're doing it so much faster than me, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, just do each task to the best of your ability. Ask questions when you have questions, and be as communicative as possible. If you need more time, you need more time. Like sometimes like I'll send tasks to people and I don't really know until if I were to do it myself until I got into it, like how much time it would actually take. So be honest and be confident in yourself. Like if you need more time, you need more time and stuff like that. Like really as you said, kind of in a bigger picture, don't compare yourselves to others. Like some of these interns might go on totally different paths. Some of these interns may get hired there. Like you have your own path that you're going to make.
Yeah, and hard work will always be rewarded over talent. So that's something big that I've heard too. So even if you don't feel like you're as good at the job as somebody else, like work hard, because like you can just show yourself that way as well. Like, and don't, I think that's good life advice. You can't compare to yourself to other people because they could be further in their career than you are. So what, like, you haven't done all the steps yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like not fair to yourself to do that. Like just work hard. Hard work will always be noticed. Yeah. Be an advocate for yourself, because you're the only one that cares about your career and has to live through your career. And I think just do what you love, because life is really short and you don't want to spend, like, this is your job is literally your life. You will spend more hours there than like anything else. So actually do something that you like. Because I mean, I think when you're young, you're like, oh, obviously you have to work hard. You have to do some jobs that you don't want to do early on and work your way up. You're not going to get a top level job right out of school necessarily, but you can't live your life unhappy either. So never be afraid to make career switches, never be afraid to explore other avenues, especially when you're young, because I think that's what these internships are for. You're trying out different things and seeing what you like, and who knows, you could go in a completely different direction, which I think has happened to everybody, like literally everybody. I don't think anyone expected to be where they are today. I sure didn't. So I think that's some of the best advice, just kind of in general or in any type of business. So
exactly. And I also wanted to share, like, as I moved up in my career, some other advice that I got from a coworker that has helped me so much. So this is kind of, past your internship, first, second, any job really, actually. So when you're going on an interview, like the interviewer may ask you, oh, what did you make at your old job? Like what is your current pay? You don't really need to answer that question.
I hate that question.
Yeah, that's the worst question.
Money questions, like, I grew up in Midwest, like that's a very taboo subject. We don't, I grew up like, that's just like not something you share. So when people bring that up, like I cringe. So uncomfortable.
Yeah. But like they, will ask you that in an interview. And so I would say be prepared with not answering that question, but instead saying, my rate is. And you don't need to tell them what you made at your other job, because if you're getting on a new job, you're moving on up, baby. So they don't need to feel.
But also like figure out what the rate is. Like,
exactly.
Or I think that's important too, because I never knew that, is like research, like don't tell them some outlandish number, because even if you're perfect for the job, you're not going to get it. So know your research, know your worth is extremely important, and go from there.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And sometimes like it is like uncomfortable talking to people about money, but like your close coworkers who you're talking to and like friends with, like ask them what they make. Like the only, like, just, don't like go out and ask someone out of the blue and stuff. Like ask like your friends who you're closer with, and kind of like you could do outside research and stuff too. But like the only person that benefits from people like not telling each other is the boss. Like the company overall, they're the only one who benefits from like people not knowing each other's salaries, like if they're in the same position and stuff. Like, so definitely I would say whenever you're comfortable, ask your coworkers what they make and stuff like that. And then if you transition to a different job, maybe in the same role or a different company and stuff, you have that idea of what people make. And then when they ask you, what do you currently make, you respond with, my rate is, and it will be a researched rate that's not like so out of the blue, but like a rate that that is competitive in what people are making in your industry, and go a touch higher, because usually they'll negotiate a little bit lower. Sometimes they'll take it. I remember I was talking to my colleague and he was like, I asked for this high number and they were just like, okay. So sometimes that happens, but that's very lucky. But
The worst they could say is no. That's what I've learned over
yeah.
my career. Because I mean, we've been working for like almost a decade now. I mean, I'm a little older than you, so I feel old. But the worst thing they can do is say, the worst thing they could say, oh, I'm tongue twisted today. The worst thing they can say is no. So why not ask? And that's like applicable to all kinds of things. That's what my philosophy has become. Like the worst they can say is no, and then move on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And then like as I'm growing in my career, I remember like a boss has said this, like, which is really, really great, is like you treat people how to treat you. And I'm like kind of coming into that in my career now and stuff. And like it's like, people in the entertainment industry, like many industries and stuff, but they can be crazy and stuff. And like you don't need to like you're not people's punching bag and stuff. Like you
No,
don't
you
need to
should
put
never.
up with like any sort of like abuse. Like some people might be like, oh, like you need to put your time in. Like I don't believe in that. Like I think like you do need to work hard, but you don't need to take like utter crap from people. Like you do
Yeah.
not.
There's a difference between working your way up and being like abused and treated horribly at a job. That is not what it means to have a low job. Everyone is like part of a team. And I think people in the entertainment industry, more and more people recently have been coming forward about that and coming forward about some of the things that do happen in this industry, especially to lower level people being taken advantage of in those ways. And you do not need to deal with that. And I think a lot of people get discouraged sometimes
Yeah.
even in those types of situations and are like, oh, this type of work isn't for me. But no, it's that specific work environment isn't for you. Like
Yeah.
I have worked over the last few years multiple jobs in this business, and not one of them has been the same. Not one of them has been the same group of people, the same type of people, the same office culture. A lot of them have been very, very different. So there are different environments that exist. Maybe you just don't like that specific job. There are different jobs in that same field that you love that exists. So,
Yeah.
but you should definitely never ever take that kind of thing from people, because that's just good life advice too. Don't
Yeah.
let people push you around.
Yeah, exactly. Like I thought that was like important to like sharing as a thing with the entertainment
Yeah.
industry as well. Like yeah, don't
It,
accept like crap or abuse like that is like totally not necessary. And like you said, like each workplace has like different cultures. Like you could go somewhere else and like the grass is greener sometimes. Like it's not like I remember I was at one place and they're like, you're never gonna find a better place better than this. And it's like you can. Like it's
yeah,
not like that.
there are like literally millions of different jobs, and there's the perfect place for everyone. So if anybody listening is feeling discouraged right now or anything in their current position or looking for work, like it's out there.
Yeah.
It's out there. I'm one of those people that there's like a place for everything in my house. There's a person for you. There's like something for everyone. Like there are literally millions, like I'm not even exaggerating, options and opportunities out there. So just work hard, you will be noticed, I think is like the major pushing point. And just advocate for yourself, because you know what you're capable of, you know your worth, and you
Exactly.
know what feels right. I think going with your gut is really important. That's
Yeah.
what I've always gone towards like my entire career and just life in general. Like if a situation doesn't feel right, or if you don't feel like this is what you want to spend your days doing, don't do it, and
Yeah.
find something else, because life is just short. And I don't know, I don't think anyone should be unhappy at their workplace, because I know it happens a lot to people. So
Yeah. Yeah,
unfortunately.
exactly. Like there's something you want, speak up. If there's something you don't like, speak up. If you want a different job, get it. Like just,
Yeah, go after
like
it.
there's lots of things that you could go after and I hope this helped. But yeah, I think we also wanted to share, as we do every week, little things we're watching. So yeah, Kelsie, what have you been watching this week?
Okay, so I cannot cook. I cannot bake. I tried to a couple weeks ago bake my husband his birthday cake,
Ah,
and it tasted great, but it was just embarrassing, but it was made with love. So what I'm trying to say is I've been watching a lot of baking shows. I love watching them. I just can't replicate it myself. I'm seriously someone who would be amazing on Netflix's Nailed It, that baking competition with people who bake very poorly. If anyone's listening, call me. I would be great at it. But a show that I recently discovered is Project Bakeover, that I love this show.
I haven't watched that.
Oh my gosh, it's so sweet, pun intended, but it's this like baker, and he goes into different businesses, and it's kind of like The Prophet or something, but it's for like bakeries, and they go in and they redesign the place, and like he teaches them like new recipes. And I've learned a lot from watching this show about like baking, like just weird things that I didn't know, or tips or something. And like I just like, so that's what got me going on this birthday cake, was like, you know, I was like, I can do this. He told me to do that. And like, I just felt like I was doing such a good job. My mom was here actually, and she like walked in and she was like just, I don't even know. She just looked at it and she's like, okay.
Really?
But it was delicious and he really appreciated it. And then I've also been watching the Kids Baking Championship. I love watching those little kids. There's a new season going on right now.
Nice.
A lot of baking. Even after the holidays, I still love watching all those shows. So nothing scripted for me going on right now. But what about you?
Yeah, so that's awesome. I watched the Kids Baking Championship before.
I
and
love
so,
it.
yeah, the kids are so talented. It's like, how'd you know how to do this?
And they're like 9, and I'm like triple their age, and like
it's awesome.
more than triple. Okay, anyway, the math.
Yeah, so this week has been kind of like a throwback week for me. I've been watching the Nick Kroll show, which I think like was
Love
on
him.
E13. Yeah, and I was talking about Big Mouth before. He's obviously like the creator of Big Mouth, voices all the characters. Well, it's so funny watching Big Mouth and then watching the Nick Kroll show, because you could see that he literally like hired all his friends he was working with on the Nick Kroll show to be the voices for Big Mouth. Like, it was just so funny. And yeah, I was watching it on Hulu, and then a lot of their sketches are on YouTube and stuff. You could just watch it there, but it's just like so bizarre. Some of them are really funny, and it gives me a good laugh. So I like that. I would check it out if you like Big Mouth and like want to see all the actors like acting in real life, or the voice actors acting. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. And then a new show I started watching is What We Do in the Shadows. Have you watched that, Kelsie?
Oh, I've seen there's a movie. I haven't seen the show, but I watched the movie.
Oh, I haven't seen the movie, but the show is like a vampire mockumentary sort of thing. And it's really funny. It's kind of almost like The Office. Like, it took me like a little bit to get into it, but it's like about these 4 vampires who live in like Staten Island, and it's just like a mockumentary, like kind of like how The Office is in a way. And it's just like them going about their lives while living like in the real world, and like they get themselves into all these like situations, and they're just like really, really silly. So like it's nothing like Vampire Diaries or any of that like that. It's like similar to The Office, like I said. That's like what it's closest to. And
more satirical, I think it is. More satire, like
exactly. And so the new season just came out on Hulu, I think. So definitely check it out.
Lots of good stuff out there right now. And thank you guys for listening. Let us know what you're watching. We're on Instagram at Pen Pals Podcast. You can catch us on YouTube if you are just listening to this on Spotify or Google or Apple Podcasts. So let us know what you're watching. We always want to know, and we always need good suggestions from people as well. I'm always looking for something new. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Bye.